What's going on, lunatics? Welcome back to the bait laboratory. We're back out in the garage. We are back out here making baits. And like I said in my last tackle making video, we are going to be reusing old sprues, some bad pours, and making up some more boss hogs. The reason I want to do this video is because I've gotten a lot of questions from people asking me, hey, can you reuse the sprue? Can you reuse bad pours? Can you reuse old baits? And I want to put a video out that shows, yes, you can do this. And I want to show you guys a couple things that I like to do when I, melt down some old baits, or I melt down old sprues, or melt down just leftover plastic, because maybe you want to make like 10 baits or something and you have leftover plastic. There's no reason to throw that stuff away. Now, if you make a color you don't like and you don't think you can turn it into something else, then yeah, maybe you're going to throw it away. But if you make a color that you like and you have leftover plastic, there's no reason why you should throw that plastic away. You can reuse it, you can melt it back down, and you can make new baits. So in this video, I want to show you a couple things that you're going to want to do when you go to do that yourself. And for those of you guys that have leftover plastic, leftover baits that you just pick up off the bottom of the boat, or you just don't like to, leave on the bank or leave in the water, whatever people do out on the water, you can reuse those old plastics. You can melt those down as well, and you can use the tips in this video in order to make sure that you're getting the most out of your money and the most out of your baits. So stay tuned, watch me make some of these baits, take these tips and apply them to your own tackle making. So a lot of times when we're making baits, we have leftover plastic in our measuring cup, we have leftover plastic that was in our injector, we have leftover sprues just like this right here, and I've gotten a lot of questions and I'm afraid that people are throwing this stuff away. So what I'm going to do is show you how you take this, you put it back into the measuring cup and you melt it down and use a couple of products that are going to help you get the best color out of these baits and show you that they are going to make awesome baits, just like when this wasn't already a green pumpkin or a watermelon color. So the two products that I'm referring to a second ago were basically the Plastisol Stabilizer and another color that you have. It could be the same exact color that you used to make that stuff before, or another color that's going to match some of the old baits that you have. But basically you're going to want to use some of this Plastisol Stabilizer so that way it helps protect the color and protect your plastic from being burned. And you might need to add a little bit of color to these baits or this plastic, because the repeated heating that you're going to do with this might dull some of that color. So these are the two things that you're going to want to add potentially to your plastic so that way you get the best results. So the first thing that we need to do is get this plastic right here, all this leftover stuff, into our measuring cup so that way we can get it back in the microwave and melt it down. And then I'm going to add this Plastisol Stabilizer in it. So what we're going to do is we're literally just going to add all this plastic into the cup. And then when I am melting this down in the microwave, one of the things that you're going to make sure that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this out of the microwave more often than you would if this was fresh plastic, because you want it to melt down evenly, but you don't want it to burn. Especially when you're trying to reheat it, it's going to be a little bit easier for it to burn. So you're going to want to take it out, stir it up, and try to get that stuff as stirred up and evenly heated as possible. So we got basically 2 cups of plastic in here. Once this melts, it's going to melt down a little bit. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to put this into the microwave. Close the door, obviously, and then we're going to just put this in for 2.5 minutes to start, and then we'll check on it, stir it up, and get everything mixed together. Okay, so we are going to check our plastic right now, take it out of the microwave, and as you can see, we got a lot more melting down to do, but if you can see in the video, I can feel that it's a little bit warm, so it definitely got some heat going, but we got a long way to go. Okay, so I'm going to take out our plastic, check on it now. Should be closer to being done, and it definitely is. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some of this Plastisol Stabilizer, and I'm going to add a few drops in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got basically 6 or 7 drops in there, and now I'm going to stir it up. I still have like chunks of plastic in here, but I wanted to get that stabilizer in here as soon as possible, so that way I had the least amount of chances to burn this plastic, because once you burn it, now it's wasted. Now you got to throw it away. But before that, we can try to salvage all this as much as possible. Okay, so we're gonna get our plastic back out of the microwave, bring it back over to the table, and I'm gonna add a little bit more in here just for good measure, because we are gonna be reheating this again multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was about another 6, 7 drops. So we'll mix that in. And then the next thing that I want to show you that you can do is add salt to this. So these baits did not have salt originally. So if you have a bait that, you know, you bought or you used that did not have salt, but you want to remake some baits with that plastic, you can totally add salt in there. So what I'm going to do is, this is just popcorn salt that I bought at Smart & Final. There might be better salt out there that you can use, but this was easily accessible to me. So we're just going to open it up, and what I'm going to do, this is a 1/4 cup measuring cup right here, and I'm going to do half. So we're going to basically do have 1/8 of a cup of salt in these baits. This is to 2 cups of plastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just under the 1/4 cup, and I'm going to stir this in, and you're going to stir it in as you pour so it gets mixed up nicely. So these baits are not going to float, and it will change the color slightly when you add salt in there, but I wanted these to have salt, and I just wanted to show you that you can add salt to these baits that you have already had made, or baits that didn't have salt in them, or mix and match, whatever you want to do. But you got to remember that once you add that salt in there, these baits are now going to sink and no longer will they float. So I'm going to need to heat this back up a little bit and get these melted down a little bit better, and then we will get to making some baits. So the Plastisol just got done getting heated up, and it's nicely melted inside there. So I'm going to take my injector and draw up this plastic. I'm going to go over to my mold and nice even pressure, and hold that pressure, because again, we're doing the Boss Hog, so we definitely want to hold that pressure to make sure we get complete pours. That should be good enough. We're going to top off the sprue now, and this is basically the testing phase right here, because you're not going to know exactly what this color is going to look like until you get that first bait out of the mold. So there's a chance that if we don't like this color, we're going to have to add some of the different colors back in to our plastic. So this is basically the trial one, and we'll see if we like it, and if we do, then we'll keep pouring. Okay, so our first bait is ready to come out of the mold. So let's take it out, open up the mold, and we will check out our bait. So that is a pretty cool color. It's a little bit more bright green. I mean, it's not a bright green, but I think you know what I mean. It's a little bit more of a rich green than I want. So what I think I'm going to do in this next one is add some watermelon brown colorant, so that way it maintains that green but darkens it up just slightly. So we got our watermelon brown right here, and I'm going to add 2 drops in. 1 and 2. We'll stir that in, and I think that this watermelon brown should darken everything up just a little bit, but maintain our watermelon and green pumpkin color. I didn't want to go with an actual brown because it might darken it and brown it up too much, which is not what I want. So I think that the combo with this watermelon brown is going to maintain that green, yet darken it like I want. Alright, so let's check our plastic. I definitely think it got a little bit darker. We're going to stir this in because I could tell that some of that colorant got stuck to some cooler plastic, so it wasn't going to get mixed in all the way. So I definitely had to melt it down in order to get it all in there. But it's definitely going to be a little bit darker, definitely going to be a little bit more what I'm going for, yet you can still see that black flake coming through. So let's get to making baits. Take our injector, draw that plastic on in, come over to our mold, even pressure down, hold that pressure. Now we're going to top off that sprue and put the extra on in our cup. Okay, so we're going to open up our mold and see how this one looks. I've been comparing these colors a little bit to one another, this new color versus the old color, and they are a lot more similar than I initially thought, but this is what we're dealing with right now. I still think it's a good color, so I think we're just gonna run with it. I definitely think it's close enough to what I'm going for that it'll catch fish, which is the main thing. So we're gonna put this guy in the bath and we're gonna make some more. So I know that there's been a lot of interest from people since I started making my own baits and putting out these videos, and I think that what I'm doing right now is by reusing old plastic or reusing your old baits is a great way to get into the hobby and a great way to get into making your own baits, because you can cut out some of the startup costs. You can cut out buying the Plastisol, you can cut out buying all the different colors that you might want to make, because you can utilize a lot of these colors yourself and melt down these old plastics that you've already been using, you already have in your tackle box, you've already caught fish on, and then get into the hobby. So all you have to do is buy some injectors, buy a couple molds of baits that you like, and then you're good to go. You're ready to start making some baits. Okay, so this bait is ready to come out. So let's open up the mold. And this one turned out good as well. There's that finished bait right there, that finished Boss Hog. I think it turned out pretty darn good. Let's get it into the bath and let's keep making some more. All right, time to make another one. Draw up this plastic over to the mold, even pressure down, hold the pressure, top off the sprue. Same process over and over. I don't record every single pour that I do, because obviously that would be very repetitive, but I like to do a few so that way you guys can see, because not everybody that's watching this video has seen multiple videos by me before. So I want to make sure that I am, you know, educating people as they're watching this stuff. So let's get this one cooled down and we'll check it out when it's ready to come out of that mold. Okay, so this one's ready to come out. Let's get it out of the mold. Open it up. And that one turned out real nice. Just got to take that sprue off, put it in the bath, and we are good to go. We're going to keep making a bunch of these. I'm going to make basically as many as I can out of this plastic. I like the color, and I like that it's got a little bit of salt in it, so we're just going to keep making them. Okay, so off camera, I took some of the sprues and leftover plastic from the baits that I've been making right now, put them back into my measuring cup, just like I did in the beginning of the video, and then add a little bit more colorant to it. And I didn't want to put you guys all through that process again since we did it in the beginning of the video. But the only thing I didn't add again was salt, and I did not add any more heat stabilizer. You could definitely add more stabilizer if you wanted to. You don't have to, but it's something that you definitely could do. But I didn't in this case, but I did add a little bit more color because I felt like it was fading a little bit. So I added some, and you know, here we are making more baits. So this is something you can just do over and over and over again. The next bait is ready to go. So let's open up this mold and check it out. I think that it should have done just fine, and I think it did. I think you guys will think the same. So we'll get this guy into the bath and get moving on to the next one. So we got another pour ready to go. Got our Plastisol out of the microwave, drawing up the plastic, going over to the mold, even pressure down. Hold that pressure, top off the sprue. Plastic back in the cup. All right, let's check out this bait. Check it out. Look at these clamps off. Open up the mold. And boom. I think it looks legit. Looks pretty good. Let's keep moving. I got plenty more to make. All right, so we got some Plastisol ready to go. We are gonna make this last bait for the video. I got plenty more baits to make, but this is the last one we're gonna do on video. So we're gonna draw up our plastic, put it into our mold, I go through a lot of these. When the bite's on these Boss Hogs, you know, you're gonna go through a lot of them. I'm using soft Plastisol, so they probably won't last through a ton of fish because it's the soft formula, but that's okay. That's what I wanted. I want them to be soft. I don't necessarily want to go through a bunch of them, but it's kind of the nature of the beast when using this soft Plastisol. And then adding that salt in there also is going to make them a little bit more prone to tearing and stuff like that. So let's check this one out here in a second once it cools down. Okay, so our bait is ready to go. It's ready to come out of the mold. So we're going to open it up, take a look at this final one and see how we did. And this one's looking good as well. So we're going to take it out of our mold, take that sprue off, and we're going to drop it into our bath. And that's pretty much going to do it with these ones. All right, so this is what we're working with in the bath. I think those baits look nice and good. And as you can see, some of these are down there on the bottom. They are not going to float because of that salt in there. All right, so those are the final baits out here in the natural light. I think they turned out really good. I definitely think they're going to catch fish. I'm excited to get out in the water and throw these on probably the Carolina rig, maybe on some of the swing head football jigs that I made, maybe on a Texas rig, something like that. But I definitely like to throw these on the Carolina rig. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really hope this gets you into wanting to make your own baits, seeing that you can reuse some of your old plastic, reuse some of those old sprues if you're already making plastics now. Don't throw that old plastic away. Save your old baits, all that kind of stuff. You can reuse all that stuff to make your own baits. You know, go on a website, go on the Do It Molds website, check out some of the molds, see which ones you like. Maybe it's a plastic worm, maybe it's the Boss Hog like this, maybe it's a double tail grub, something like that. They have tons of molds out there that you can choose from. Find one you like and use what I talked about in this video. Get some colorant that you like, get some heat stabilizer to make sure you don't burn that plastic. But this is definitely something that you guys can do yourself. You can do this at home. You just need a few of the items you saw in this video, and make sure to check the description because all that stuff is going to be linked in the description of this video. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and stay tuned for some videos where I'm out in the water fishing these baits so you can see that you can actually catch fish on baits you make yourself. I think a lot of people already know that, but that's one of the things that I want to do in my channel, is show you guys that I'm catching fish on these baits that I make myself. I've been catching a bunch of fish on spinner baits that I make myself. I've already shown you guys jig fish that I've caught, plastics fish that I've caught, and I've already caught some fish on this Boss Hog. So stay tuned for more content coming your way. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.